Can we talk about how Eve of Ruin isn't that good of a book?
What?
Now, I'm not saying it's not a good premise for a good D&D campaign. I'm not saying that the story isn't a blast. I'm not saying that the idea of running through all those different places, dungeon crawling isn't fun. Um, I'm not saying
Get on with it!
that the idea of playing from 10 to 20 levels isn't challenging and exciting. But what I am saying is that it's not that good of a D&D book. Hello, my name is Cody. Welcome to Curse 20, and let's get into it. So, I, if you watch this channel before, you know that we have run an actual play called The Curse Ones, where we played through this wonderfully written, amazing campaign book called Curse of Strahd. And uh, I did my best to make the story my own, but this book leaves a lot of openings for you to be able to do that. We're currently recording episodes for our new actual play coming out called The Ruined Ones, based off of this book, Eve of Ruin. And I gotta tell you, I'm almost completely disregarding the entire book. And I know that sounds crazy to say that I'm running a campaign based off of a book and I'm disregarding it. Sorry, I gotta get a tripod for my camera. I hit the desk. But yes, I am basically discarding it. I am rewriting. Not rewriting, I shouldn't say that. I'm getting rid of a lot of the rules in the book. Eve of Ruin is very much, in my opinion, a dungeon dwelling book. It is, here's a dungeon for level 10, 11, all the way through 20. It is not set up to be a long term campaign. It is not set up to be a very. It doesn't leave a lot of space in the story to breathe for you to add in story beats that are based off of characters' backstories or choices and interactions that they made. The book progresses you through the chapters very linearly. When we played in the Cursed Ones and we played through Curse of Strahd, we started in chapter 1, and within a couple of sessions, they had jumped to chapter 5. They were doing things that were part of that chapter. Then they were in 7, back down to 4, to 3. We didn't play through the chapters as if you're going through levels of a video game. It was here's chapters explaining a bunch of different areas and things in the book, and how you go through about the book, how you go through about the story, I apologize, is entirely dependent on you. Now, some levels may be harder, or some areas may be harder based off of your level, but there's nothing stopping you from going there. There's nothing stopping you from entering the werewolf's den. There's nothing stopping you from going to Vallaki right away. There's nothing stopping you from going to Cressy. There's nothing stopping you from trying to find Castle Ravenloft, right? That's all open to you. In Eve of Ruin, it is very much you go here, then you go here, then you go here and here and here, and eventually you end up where you need to be. In fact, spoilers for anybody who hasn't played Eve of Ruin or who hasn't read Eve of Ruin, who is currently maybe in a campaign for Eve of Ruin. Spoilers. 3, 2, 1, look away. It has a built in device in the story to propel you to the next chapter, to the next session. You don't have to do any work thinking about how to bring your characters there. And now, okay, hold on. Let's take a step back. That is not a bad thing. If you're a new DM, and I would actually consider myself a new DM. I've only been DMing now for about consistently a year and a half, 2 years. I consider myself very unprofessional, and I'm still learning. So if anybody disagrees with me in the comments, let me down below, and I'll make a correction video, or where we can talk about it, whatever. But if you are a new DM and you just want to run a high level campaign, this book will tell you how to do it step by step. It gives you built in devices to get them from the one place to the next. It tells you where you're going, it tells you how to get there. You start off in Neverwinter. You start off in Neverwinter, and you go to the Underdark, and then after the Underdark, one sec. You start off in Neverwinter, you go to the Underdark, and then you go to the Astral Plane, and then to the Ruined Colossus, and then Barovia, and all these different places, and it tells you how to get there. And honestly, kind of one or two places that are kind of repetitive, right? It doesn't take you to everywhere. There's nothing in here that takes you, like, you don't get to see the Feywild, but you will fight 2 undead bosses before you even get to the main boss of the entire campaign. Or the main 2 bosses of the main entire campaign. There's 4 total undead bosses. There's no Fey. It tells you exactly where to go. And again, if you're looking for direction and you just want to play like a dungeon crawler and you just want to have high level play, you don't want to think about what to put into the fights and you don't want to have to figure that out. You don't want to balance encounters. You don't want to have to deal with too many social interactions that aren't already pre-planned in the book for you. It's a perfect book. You go to something like Curse of Strahd, that's a lot more open. Yes, there are preset dungeons in Curse of Strahd. There is a preset place. It gives you tools how to corral players if you need to. Like there's the mist. It's a built-in tool on how to separate them from places you don't want them to go to. But it's also very easy to open those places up. It leaves open space for it. In Eve of Ruin, there's none of that. There is no open space. You have to change it. You have to ignore certain things of the book if you want to open up space. We are currently in our Ruin One's actual play between chapters 2. We just finished chapter 2, and at the end of chapter 2, it starts you off in the beginning of chapter 3. There is no room in between those 2 chapters to deal with anything from characters' backstories, to let them interact and grow with each other, to let them explore any areas that they're in, right? In fact, we finished the end from chapter 1 into the beginning of chapter 2, and we barely even touched chapter 2. The end of chapter 1 and the end of chapter 2 is the only time in the entire campaign book where it asks you what are the players doing in between sessions, right? It's the only time in the entire story where it gives you those spaces to let the characters grow, to let the characters interact with the world, right? And then it just pushes you down a roller coaster of extreme encounters one after the other. And again, that's not a bad thing. That's fun. Maybe everybody wants to play. And I'm playing the book. I love it. We're having a freaking blast. But I'll tell you what, it's because I'm designing breaks in between the chapters. One sec. We're not sponsored, but I would take a sponsorship. We're designing breaks in between the chapters. In between chapters 1 and 2, they enter into, again, spoilers. They enter into the Underdark right at the beginning of the dungeon. And I changed all of that. I wrote 3 sessions worth of material of being in the Underdark before they ever made it to the dungeon that the book gave. And this book doesn't give you any of that. It doesn't tell you any of that. It puts you right at the beginning of the dungeon. You run through it, you get out, and boom, you're right at the beginning of the 3rd dungeon. And then it just goes and goes, and that's the same. It's the same rinse and repeat to the very end. And I'm not again. It's great. There's a lot of really cool boss fights, a lot of really cool dungeons, a lot of really cool encounters, a lot of really cool magic items, a lot of really cool concepts and ideas, like the secrets and all of that kind of stuff that you really get to use in here, and it's fun and it's high level play. It's hard. It's challenging. The characters either getting TPK'd or they're mollywopping your enemies. But there's not a lot of breathing space in it. There's not a lot of, in my personal opinion, there's not a lot of room for roleplay. It is a dungeon delving book for high level players. Anyway, if you disagree, please let me know in the comments. I would love to hear your thoughts on either Curse of Strahd and Eve of Ruin. Let me know which one you like better. We'll do a vote in the comments of which book, which campaign, whether you ran it or played it, that you actually liked better. My personal opinion is that Curse of Strahd, even though it's lower levels, is a way funner book to wait. Is funner even a word? Is a way better book to run. I've actually never played it because I've only ever ran it, but I would love to actually play in this. I would rather play in Curse of Strahd than I would Eve of Ruin. Again, let me know in the comments and agree to disagree. Please like and subscribe. This has been Curse 20. Thank you.